friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and today's video was inspired by a viewer who commented that they want to get back into tarot and they feel like they maybe need to practice a little bit. And it made me think of ways that a person might use tarot for practice. Now, it depends on how far along you are in your tarot journey. You might be reading for 20 years and maybe you had a dry spell of 6 months and you just want to get your feet back. You want to get your feet wet before you go publicly or before you make money or something like that. Or, if you're brand new to tarot and you really haven't gotten your feet wet, but you're interested and you'd like to start reading, but you don't feel proficient enough to take your show on the road, or so to speak, or you don't really want to involve your friends yet, and you can only read about yourself so much objectively, right? What are some topics that you can use to read tarot and just for practice? So I've created a list of when I can't think of topics to do readings for, I will. I'll take a story from the headlines, especially the more perplexing cases. Sometimes it's very insightful to hear the facts that are given from the police or from law enforcement, and then to ask the universe what it is you need to know to bring meaning to this case, and lay the cards and receive a message. Now, I have never publicly done videos on real life cases out of the headlines on video until this year. This year is the first time I've ever done it. I've always done it, but I've never done it publicly before. The reason I never did it publicly before was because I'm very conscious that whenever there's a crime, there's victims and there's victims' families, and you never want to be insensitive, ever, And so for that reason, I had always avoided it. But a few people, more than one person, convinced me that sometimes by putting it on YouTube, it'll bring awareness. And you never know who's watching. You never know if somebody in law enforcement secretly on the fly it might watch your channel, or might watch my channel and see a thought that they never thought of, or an angle that they might not have considered before, and it just might redirect their thinking. You never know. And so I thought, you're right. Because in the past, whenever I've done readings on true crime cases, and I saw something that was like, whoa, I wonder, I would never approach law enforcement and say, hey, I'm a tarot reader. This is what, because they'll just never even listen, never listen. But what I have done is on forums, or sometimes I've even made phone calls, and I said, what about, have you looked at it from this perspective? Have you looked at it from this angle? And and you just pretend like you're a citizen, which I am, of course. And I don't know, whatever they do with the information, they could just say whatever, or it might spark a thought. So I think it does have value. I think there's a responsibility, if you do it publicly, not to be salacious about it, to always bear in mind that there are victims' families, and just to be responsible. Okay, another one, just mysteries of history. I love doing that, and those I've always done on video. Mysteries of histories, like whatever happened to the Charles Lindbergh baby, or whatever happened to Amelia, what caused Amelia Earhart's crash, or where is Amelia Earhart, or will she ever be found? Those kinds of questions. Lizzie Borden, Jack the Ripper, all those kinds of unsolved things, just to get insight, like, just to see if there was a stone that was left unturned. Lost items. God knows that I'm always doing videos on lost items because I'm always losing something. And it's true, whenever you lose, I say it every time I do one of those videos, if you keep looking in the same spot, you're going to get the same results, which is a lost item. You can't find it. So when you lose an item, the tendency is to look in the last place you remember seeing it. And so you keep going back to that spot and you unearth every area in that area about that spot. You can't find it. Well, when you do a tarot reading with the intent of redirecting my brain to look someplace else or to redirect my thinking, a lot of times you get really good results. I think there has only been one time in the past year where I haven't found an object that I was, where, you know, the cards indicated to me, the way I understood it was to look there, to look in a certain place. And it wasn't there. So I don't know. However, I have a feeling, since the place, the location was in my car. So I'm wondering if I lost it getting in and out of the car, in which case I'll never find it. You know, it's gone forever. And I already replaced the object, so it was my driver's license, so it kind of doesn't matter. Let's see. Dream interpretation. Now, a lot of times our dreams are pretty obvious because we know our lives intimately. No one knows us as well as we know ourselves. And sometimes we'll have a dream and it's really easy to see through it and to understand what it is. But there are times when I'll have a dream of somebody that I knew 35 years ago and haven't thought of since, not really a friend, just an acquaintance that I barely knew. And they'll pop up in my dream as a very significant person, either telling me something or participating in something that I'm doing. And I'll think to myself, what the heck? What is that about? And for those kind of unusual dreams that I can't rightly put my finger on the meaning of, I'll do a reading on the dream interpretation, just to direct myself into considering, you know, if my unconscious mind or my subconscious mind sees pictures on the cards, it may spark a thought that's related to that dream. Of course, there are always options to do readings on how to resolve a problem if you're going through a conflict or you have a situation with another human being and you want to be persuasive and you don't know how to be persuasive without being obvious about it. Or there's sometimes we just need to make a decision about something and we don't know what to do. Now, in those cases, sometimes a pendulum is a good way to go. And that's usually if I really have to make a decision, a serious decision, I'll use the pendulum. However, there are trivial things that aren't such terrible decisions to make where I will use the cards. And even if it's not true because I've used the cards to make serious decisions, but I've always used the pendulum on top of it to verify that that's really what my subconscious wants. Motives behind politicians. Sometimes a politician will, support something, or a politician will get behind someone, and I'll think, that's interesting. What's behind that? What is the motive of this politician? We have a right to know because taxpayer monies are paying for politicians and we've elected these politicians, and so we most definitely have a right to know what motivates politicians. Storylines or book plots. I think a lot of authors have done that. I have a few tarot authors back here who I think use tarot to propel their discussion of tarot, and also storylines. I think like Lindsay Gresham, for one, I think is someone who I kind of believe used the tarot to, well, I'm thinking of Nightmare Alley. Forget about the movie forget about the recent movie Nightmare Alley. Read the book by Lindsay Gresham. Man, that is an exceptionally well-written book. And I've done videos on that book as it relates to tarot. It's, I think, probably my best video I've ever done. And I'll put it down below. I'll put the link down below. But it's a good video, and I'm proud of it. But it goes to show how an author will use tarot, or how an author might perceive of tarot. let's see. Now I do this on my channel, and I think I'm the only tarot reader on video. You know, I'm the only video tarot person with a channel on YouTube who does this, unless they've got the idea from me and they're doing it too. But I love to use tarot to answer unanswered movie questions. And as a matter of fact, I have one brewing for those of you who love my movies, my movie videos. There's one brewing in the next few days. So don't just, sometimes people will say, oh, you haven't done a movie thing in a while. It's brewing. But I like to do it for that too. Sometimes there's like a cliffhanger with a movie and there's no sequel, right? Or there's just plot holes that are unanswered in a movie, that you're willing suspension of disbelief. The movie maker just assumes you'll overlook it, right? But sometimes I get caught up on those plot holes. I think, like what happened there? How was that resolved? And so I'll ask the tarot to give me an idea about how certain plot holes are resolved. Another way to decide what to do a reading on. There are times when none of those topics interest me, and I'll just say, what do I do a reading on today? I just will ask the cards themselves, and what I usually do is I'll shuffle the cards, give it a good mix, and then whoops, there she goes. I'll give the cards a good mix, right? And I'll just put it to the cards. What should the topic be? What should I do a reading on today? I feel like doing a reading, I don't know what to do it on. Or I feel like doing a demonstration reading for my viewers, and I don't know what to do it on. And help me out. So I'll do some shuffles. I'll pull a card, and I'll let the card tell me what it'll be about. So 7 of Swords. And so I'll let that direct me. Whatever I'm feeling about the 7 of Swords, that particular deck, excuse me, maybe true crime, right? Or maybe breaking through a case of a popular true crime story or something like that. And I'll think, today would be a good day for that. Or legal issues. Maybe there's a thing that's happening on TV that's about court, or about somebody going through a legal process, right? It all depends on the context of what's happening and what's making you think, whatever is making you relate to the 7 of Swords that particular day. So it could be something about a politician, right? How will that work out? Especially, you notice that the sword is facing down rather than up. Oh, and by the way, this deck, for those of you who just saw it and thought, oh, that's a cute deck. What is it? It's tarot. It's classic tarot. I think this is Los Scarabeo. Very inexpensive. I think I bought it for $16 on Amazon. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have good tarot decks or pretty tarot decks. So maybe I'm sure on my channel, I'm sure I've done any number more videos on topics that I didn't even think to put on this list. So peruse my channel, look at my demonstration readings to see what other ideas there might be. But today, let's see, I will do a random reading. I'll use my own method for choosing, all right, for choosing a topic. Let's see what we have here. The World card. Okay. So let me reflect on the World card and what it's prompting me to think of for a reading, and I'll come right back. Well, it's interesting because yesterday's reading was about humanity. But I already did a reading about that yesterday, so I don't think I'm going to do a reading about humanity again today. But that's interesting because it is what's on my mind, is humanity. We're some complicated, strange people. We really are. We really are. Well, let me go back and do some more reflecting. Okay. I thought of something. the world card, it made me think also of completion, or bringing something to completion. Is there anything in my life that has some loose ends? And there's one thing that's kind of nagging me now. I do babysit my grandchild 30 hours a week, sometimes longer. So I don't have a whole lot of free time. And because it's summer, we like to hang out by the pool on the days that that I'm not babysitting. So something that has gone by the wayside is a painting that I've been working on. It's a painting that I really, when I started it, I had a lot of enthusiasm for it, and I still do. It nags me that I haven't been working on it. So I want to ask about that painting. What will it take? Well, I know what it'll take. It'll take freedom. It'll take time. And on the days that I'm not babysitting, where, you know, my husband's like, let's go outside, let's hang out by the pool. Like, I kind of feel like I can't tell him no, you know. I kind of like, yeah, sure, hon, you know, let's hang out by the pool. And I love hanging out by the pool, and I love spending time with my husband, but sometimes I want to spend my free time doing what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? But it would crush him to hear me say that, because I think he assumes that I just want to be with him all the time. My God, shh. But yeah, this painting, I really would like to finish this painting. And maybe I'm using those things as excuses, because I should go down there at 2 in the morning and paint if I feel like painting. Right? So what will it take for me? And I've already gone into my meditative place, and I did all that with the cards, but just for your sake, I'm like, what will it take? What's the momentum, or what's the input? You know, what do I need to do to get back on track with getting some work done on that painting? Let me flip the camera and we'll get right to it. Alrighty, and I'll just do a couple shuffles so you know it's a legit read. Two swords, Knight of Spades, or Swords rather, excuse me. Oh wow, 7 of Swords down. Isn't that interesting? I just kind of randomly put, wow, that's kind of interesting. Wow, okay, so we have a 2, I think that's a 2, and a 7, that's a 9. So that would bring us to the Hermit. For those of you who are not familiar with this deck, you might not mind me perusing it. Isn't that a beautiful card? This deck is a beautiful, beautiful deck. I love it. Where's the Hermit? Come on, Hermit. You notice that I write it right-sided. Oh, I should have pulled that for the Wheel of Fortune. That's a nice wheel for the tarot trumps. There we are. Well, if I cut to the chase and I just look at the Hermit card, and I think some of you have maybe seen enough of my videos to know that I identify with the Hermit. There's a strong suggestion that I need some alone time. And one of the things that I don't have is a lot of alone time. And the little bit of alone time that I do have, I'm in this tarot parlor doing, you know, sustaining my channel. So I don't have a lot of alone time. Now that will change as the baby gets a bit older, and they won't need me, and then I'll cry. You know, I'll have plenty of alone time. So I'm not rushing my alone time. I think I need to see it. I like the way things are. I guess I like the way things are, and that's why, because if I really wanted to be spending my time in that basement in my studio doing my painting, I'd find the time. I would do it, you know, I would find the time. And right now, my alone time is not as abundant. It's not allowing me to do that, but I'm making choices to spend time with the people I love, and that's just the way it is. Okay, so that's my take on what the Hermit is suggesting. Now you'll also notice, this is probably me, running away from progress, right? The 7, I see 7s as transition, making progress, or, succeeding at something. And this person's running away from it. So there's maybe I don't know what to do with it. Maybe subconsciously, I just don't know what to do with it. And sometimes being away from something helps you look at it with new, fresh eyes. So maybe there's an intimidation. Yeah, there could be that I'm kind of like feeling that there have been times when I've gone down there and looked at it, and I could have painted. I could have gotten into it. But I was like, not today. So I wonder if there's something about it that's I'm scared of, or not that I'm scared of, but I just don't know exactly how to proceed. And this is pointing down. So I'm not like, if I were to see it this, and I don't typically read reversals, but I do pay attention to direction of things. I pay attention to who he's looking at, for example, and I will pay attention to whether a sword or an object is pointed up or down. And there's nothing down here below. I don't have another row or anything like that. But it, when it's pointed down, it could be like stuck in the ground. So it's kind of like not moving. So it's possible that I just don't know what to do with it. There's this, maybe my subconscious senses that there's something wrong with it, but I just don't know quite what. And I don't know how to proceed. And what am I running towards? I'm not looking at it. I'm running away from this in the direction of this, even though I'm not looking at it. Right? I'm not looking at this. But what am I running into? A collaboration, an exchange of thought. Maybe I'll bring it up today, poolside, with my husband. Ask him what that painting needs. Sometimes you just need someone else's opinion, Sometimes you just need some intellectual stimulation outside of my own head. So that's maybe what I'll do. I think there's something to it. I might be stuck. A little bit. And I don't have as much free time as, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not having as much free time. I'll have plenty of free time, Once summer ends, I'll have plenty of free time. When I'm, plus the baby's only going to be a baby for so long, and then I'll miss the days when I got to watch them. So I don't want to rush that either. I don't want to rush that at all. So here, see, this is a good example of wanting to do a practice reading, or just wanting to do a reading, but you don't know what to do a reading on. Just pull a card randomly, whatever it is. Let that spark. Make a connection in your real life. What could this relate to? Then that's your topic, and then that's what you do your reading on. So I hope this has been helpful for some of you, no matter what stage you're in. If you're just learning about tarot and you don't have any guinea pigs yet, use one of these topics. If you've been reading for years, but you stepped away for a couple of months, and you kind of want to just get back into it a little bit, pick a topic and do a topic. Or if you just feel like reading cards and you don't know what topic to pick one of them. I hope it's been helpful to you. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well, be kind, do no harm.